the cloud. Okay, so today's class is all around sort of, it's funny you use the word busy, sort of getting out of that busy mode and getting into just a really restorative and restive. So today's practice, we're going to still be doing all the stretching and getting into the fascia and working actually almost all areas of our body on some level. We're also going to do it in a much more restive and restorative way, which is a little different than what I usually do. I usually try to do a little bit of relaxing and a little bit of sort of active, but today is fully relaxing. And at the end, I'm just going to ask everybody to just stay lying down. Last week I had everybody sit up and both of them were like, no, we wanted to stay down. So I'll finish the class with everybody laying down. If you choose to sit up, that's up to you, but I won't sort of prompt it unless that's what you want to do. So we're going to start in sort of a forward fold, and I'm going to give you two choices for the forward fold. So you're going to take your blocks. And the one option, and it's based on what you want to sort of open up or stretch today. And all our poses are going to be around 5 minutes, so slightly longer than we usually do. Now, if you have a lot of flexibility sort of in your calves and your thighs, and you could sit sort of straight, we're going to forward fold with the legs straight. And I'll show you how we're going to set up the props. The other option is a nice, if you want to sort of open up the inside of your thighs because you sit all day and you really want to open that up, we're going to go into sort of a butterfly pose with our feet together, knees out, and that's how we're going to forward fold. And I'll show you how we're going to do our props. So the first version with my legs straight is we're going to take the block, put it in front of us. We're going to take one of our bolsters or pillows and place it sort of on top of the block. Our legs go around and we sort of just fold forward into it. And what you can do to make it a little more accessible is to place one or two bolsters or pillows, which is why I asked you to bring two, sort of in your belly, and we fold forward into that. If that's not comfortable for you, you don't have that extension, and that's totally okay because we are going to work a little bit on that, and it feels more comfortable for you to actually bring your feet together, the way to do this is to actually place the block on your feet, place your pillows or bolsters in front of you, and just lean forward into the pillows or bolsters. This one I find most people like better. It's more comfortable. You're also opening up those hip flexors and opening up your hips, and you're getting that full support where you could just lean into and lie down on the bolsters, and it's a little more easier on your low back. So choose whichever one you prefer to go into, and we're just going to stay there for about 4.5 to 5 minutes. So whichever one feels most comfortable for you. And you can always take more props, put blankets, anything that helps you in leaning forward into them so that they're fully supporting you. Personally, I like the opening of the hips, so I'll go into that version. And again, if you only need one bolster because you can lean forward and you have that sort of opening in your hips, that's okay too. You just lean forward, our hands can sort of just palms up, sit there. It's okay if your back's a little curved, as long as your low back is the part that doesn't sort of bend or curve down there. And we're just going to lean, and we're sort of going to hug or bring our arms sort of around the bolster or pillow and allow it to be a nice support for us. And I highly recommend if you're facing sort of one side, about halfway through, and I'll let you know when we're halfway through, maybe turn your head to the opposite side. So only fold forward as far as you feel a little bit of tension or a little bit of sort of lengthening in whatever area we're working on, whether that's the back of the legs with the legs straight or the inside of the hips. And then once you get there, if it ever feels like too much, feel free to pull back just a little bit. And I just want you to breathe and relax while we're in this pose. Relax all the muscles in your body. Release any tension. And breathe deeply in and out. Relax your face. Relax your jaw. Relax your shoulders and your arms. Relax your legs. Maybe you're holding them up. Let everything just sink into the mat, into the floor, into the earth. And if your mind starts to wander or think about things that were happening throughout the day, see if you could just focus on your breath and bring your attention back to this moment. See where you're feeling any tension, any lengthening, any opening. Really become aware of your body. That's one of the things that Yin Yoga is so good at. In the quiet, in the silence, you have this opportunity to really become aware of your body and become really present. And that helps you in any sort of other yoga classes or any fitness that you do. When you leave the mat, you're actually more aware of different areas of your body that need some work or are more open or loose. And that helps you when you're working on other sort of exercises in your life, including the mental ones. And just keep breathing. And see if you can find some stillness and quietness in the pose. And we're about halfway through, so feel free to turn your head to the other side and get a stretch on the other side of your neck. And just remember to breathe deeply in and out. Last few breaths in this pose. One more breath deeply in and out. Great, and on your next inhale, we'll slowly use our hands to sort of put us back into a seated position. We're going to move our block out of the way, but we're going to take our bolster and we're actually going to place it under our hips. So all that work we just did to open up, sort of our back and open up our hips. Now we're going to go a little deeper and only go as deep as feels comfortable for you. So we're just going to place that bolster under our knees while still in butterfly pose. And we're just going to lean forward and let your head sort of hang. If at any point any of that feels uncomfortable, you can always use a block to hold your head, or you can use your other bolster in a pose we call unicorn. and place it in front of your forehead and just lean forward into your pillow or your bolster. We're just going a little bit deeper without as much support in the pose. And we're adding in the bolster underneath so that our knees aren't sort of hanging. They're well supported by everything. And we have the support we need to relax into the pose. We're only going to be in this one for 2 minutes. It's just to get a little deeper in our forward fold. If it ever feels like too much on your low back or you feel pulling that doesn't feel like it feels a little too tight, always feel free to pull back just a little bit. And release any tension. Breathe and relax. Deep breaths in and out. Bring awareness to your mind and your body. And try to find stillness and quiet for the last beat in this pose. What's really wonderful about Yin Yoga is while we're opening up the connective tissue and the fascia in our body, we're also bringing a really nice, awareness and listening to our body and what it's telling us, which is not something we do in our busy, busy schedules and our busy, busy days. Last few breaths in and out here. Last breath in and out. And slowly on your next exhale this time, use your hands to push yourself up to a seated position. We'll move that bolster out of the way. And now we're going to do a counter pose where we move back. So we're going to take our blocks. And for everyone, this will be different. So you're going to place your blocks sort of seated up, like a sort of a T, I guess. You're going to take your bolster and you're going to place it on top of those blocks. And we're going to try and keep it as steady as we can. We're going to take our hips and place them right against sort of our buttocks and our back against the bottom of the bolster or pillow. You're going to take your legs this time. Instead of a butterfly, I want you to do square pose. So we're going to put our right ankle on our left knee, and our left sort of ankle is going to be underneath our right knee. And all I want you to do is lean back. So do it slowly and as carefully as you can. Hopefully your blocks don't fall down. That does happen a lot. And what we're doing right now is opening up our chest, opening up our arms. Your head can sort of lean back. And if you need to adjust, that's totally okay. Find the right position for you. And our legs are just in square pose. So that's opening up in our low back, opening up our hips, getting a little bit of work into our knees. And we're going to be on this side for a few minutes. Then we'll straighten out and move over to the other side by switching our leg position so that our left ankle is above our right knee and vice versa. See if you could just relax into the pose. Breathe through all the tension. Let your hands and your arms relax beside you. Let your face relax, especially your jaw. And just take deep breaths in and out very slowly. Really sort of pace your breath. Maybe even count to 4 on the way in and count to 4 as you breathe out, just to get the rhythm and the pace that you want. If your mind is racing, that's okay. Just bring your thoughts and your mind back to your breath and just focus on your inhale and your exhale, just so those thoughts can sort of fade away in the distance. We are about halfway through. So all I want you to do is take your legs, slowly release them, straighten them out for just a moment. Just keep them straight in front of you. We'll just be here for about 10 seconds or so. And then as best you can, it doesn't have to look perfect. It's all about just positioning your body. We're going to now take that right ankle under the left knee and left ankle above the right knee. So the opposite. And if you did the opposite earlier, you could switch to the opposite side. And now we're really doing a lot of work, if you're on the same side as me, on our left leg, left buttock, left hip, left knee. And in this pose, your ankles have been getting a little bit of work and a little bit of a stretch. And it's okay if your knees aren't touching your ankles, especially when we're lying back. It's not always an ability that everyone has to bring everything together. If you were sitting up, everything would sit on top of each other. So it's okay if things are sort of just hanging, as long as it feels comfortable for you. And we'll be here for just about another minute and a half. Again, relax, breathe slowly and deeply in and out. Relax your shoulders. Relax your feet. Relax your chest. Relax your buttocks. And just breathe. And again, just focus on your breath. If your mind is wandering or your thoughts are moving, just keep focusing on your breath. Take your last few deep breaths in and out here. Really let it fill up your lungs and feel your rib cage moving up and out as you breathe in, and then sort of decompressing and coming back down as you breathe out. Take one more deep breath in and out here. And out. Great. And slowly, using your elbows and your arms and your hands, push yourself back up to a seated position. And I'm going to face you, show you the next poses. So there's two ways we're going to do this pose. One goes deeper than the other. So the first version of the pose, you can either use one pillow or two, and you place them over to your left side. And we're going to take our right leg, and place it out to sort of a diagonal position. And we're going to sort of release ourselves over to the left side. So you're going to take your chest, move it to the left, and then release yourself down. And you can use blocks, bolsters, pillows, blankets, anything you need. And you should be feeling a really nice stretch through your right thigh. Now, if you can go really deep and you don't need all those props, you can always just use one bolster and come down to your elbows. And it's okay if your foot sort of goes inwards. The whole point is to stretch out. Like I said earlier, we're eventually going to stretch out the underside of the thigh and the underside of the calf. And that's really what we're doing here. And again, just to show you, if you need more props, please use them as support. That's what they're there for. And we can always come down to a nice, comfortable position. And we're just going to be here for a few minutes, and then we're going to switch our body, not our legs, but our body, to stretch out the opposite way. And I'll show you what I mean when we get there. So just keep breathing. Relax your muscles. Relax your mind. Try to find stillness and quiet in the pose. And feel free, if it feels nice for you, to close your eyes in each pose. It's really great for focusing and relaxing in the pose. We have 30 more seconds here before we convert the pose to the other side. So it's still going to be the exact same pose. We're just opening it up a little bit more on the opposite end. Breathe really deep, relax, let go, release your breath, release your thoughts, release your worries. Today's class isn't just about sort of letting go of our busy thoughts or letting go of our busy day. It's also about sort of healing, not just our body, but our mind, and giving ourselves, sort of this quietness in which that sort of healing from stress, from anxiety, from worry, from all those things that affect us, not just mentally, but physically, and letting those all go. On your next inhale, slowly use your hands to rise up. And I want you to take one of those bolsters or pillows, and you could be using a blanket, place it on top of the knee that's sort of part of the leg that's stretched out. And we're going to fold now to the right side. So you might want to use your block there as well. And it's not as easy or comfortable on this side, so feel free to pull as many props or items as you need. And you can bring it sort of into your chest or into your belly, and bring yourself sort of down and maybe just hug your blocks. Whatever feels comfortable for you. If you have that openness and flexibility, feel free to sort of come down without any props. And if your knee is sort of raised up on the other side, feel free to place a bolster underneath that knee and give it a little extra comfort. A third option is to take your bolster and place it on your knee and use it in that unicorn pose I mentioned earlier, or your pillow. And you can sort of crush yourself into the pillow. And with your arms around it, it keeps it from sort of flattening completely. So what this does is, in the same pose, we're now stretching out not just the inside of the thigh, but the top of the thigh and leg. And we're even getting a little bit of a stretch on the outside. So you should be feeling it still in the same sort of area, but it's sort of migrated a little bit up as we're in this version of the pose. And the props are really just there for support if you need it, and to give us some nice sort of comfort. The closer the props are to your body, the more sort of nurturing the feeling is that you get from them, and the more support you feel from them. And you don't have to go too deep. If it ever feels like too much, just pull back a little bit. The stretch that we're getting is for our thigh, for our calves, for our legs. We don't need that stretch in our low back because we did that earlier. So don't worry about how deep you're going in the pose. As long as you're feeling that stretch in the leg, that's really all you need. We'll be here for just one more minute. And just keep breathing deeply in and out. Last few breaths in and out here. Great. And we're just going to move our prop still close by, just to the side. We're going to take that leg that's bent, we're going to straighten it out in front of us, and we're just going to take a moment here. You might be feeling some pretty intense feelings, vibrations, blood rushing back to areas, maybe even a little sore. So just take a moment. Legs don't have to be fully straight if that's not comfortable, before we move to the opposite side. So this time we're going to straighten out the left leg and sort of place it diagonally from us. We're going to bend the right knee, place that foot sort of on the inside of the right thigh, and it's okay if it doesn't come that far, as long as it's in the right direction. And if you're like me, you're going to find one side is not exactly like the other. So you may find on this side, you're a little less open or more open, so your knee might be a little higher. So great opportunity to sort of place some bolsters sort of close to you or under that knee if you need it. And the other bolster can sort of go on top. And we're going to sort of bend towards that bent knee and keep the other leg straight. You don't have to point your toes or do anything with them. Let them all just relax. And we're going to fold towards this side now. And use the props however you'd like. If you want to go into sort of unicorn, if you can go all the way down and don't need the props, that's totally up to you. Using the props really just gives you extra comfort, extra relaxation, extra restorative sort of feeling. And again, we'll be here for a few minutes, and you may find you're holding some tension in that straight leg. See if you can release it and see how that feels if you could just relax the thigh muscle and everything else. And it's okay if you have to bend the knee just slightly to get that. As long as you're still feeling a stretch, that's all that really matters. And you should be feeling that sort of on the inside and underneath, and maybe even a little bit on top near your pelvis. And take deep breaths, sort of release that tension in your body. Find that stillness and quiet in the pose. And just focus on your breath. Last 30 seconds in this version of this pose. So just deep, breathe deep, breathe deeply in and out. Last 2 breaths in and out here. Great. Slowly raise yourself up, and we're just going to move over to the opposite side. So bolster or pillow, whatever you're using, can go on that knee. You can always do, again, unicorn. One really nice thing to do that's really comforting is to take both your pillows or bolsters or blanket, whatever you're using, as much as you have, pile it all up and sort of just lean into that. So bring it right to your belly, and it's a nice comforting way of getting into the pose. And it's okay if your knee is up, but if you want some support on the opposite side, you can place a block or any props you have around to sort of give that some support. And we'll just be here for a few minutes. So now you should be feeling that maybe even more in your thigh on the top, still all underneath. So we're opening up our hamstrings, our calves, our thighs, our quads. All of that is getting a nice deep fascial stretch. And we'll be here for another minute and a half. Just keep breathing deeply in and out. Last few breaths here. And on your next exhale, slowly release everything, bring yourself up. Move your props just close by, but to the side. Take your right leg, or whichever leg was bent, straighten it in front of you, bring your legs sort of together. And you may be feeling, although there might be a lot of tension and vibration, you're probably feeling a little bit more openness in both your legs. They're probably a little less tight than they were earlier. And it's okay if they're not, because in the next 24 to 48 hours, they will be, because the fascia we worked on will continue to work. Now we're going to move into the truly relaxing poses. We're going to start on our belly. So we're going to swing our legs around. We're going to come to our bellies, and we're going to do half Spider-Man pose. So we're going to come to our bellies and take your pillow or bolster and keep it sort of in front of you, a little bit above, close to your chest. And your other bolster, or if you're using a blanket, you would roll it up, or you can even use a block. Any of those props will be used, and we're going to bring it over to our side. It could be your right or your left side, you decide. So we're going to come to our bellies. We're going to put our chest on that bolster that's sort of in front and underneath us. And we're going to take that leg, whether it's the right or the left, and we're going to bend it and place it on top of, whether it's a block, a blanket, or pillow or bolster beside us, and we're doing half Spider-Man pose. So your chest should be facing forward. The thigh of the leg that's straight is also facing forward, and your leg sort of comes out. So this is a really deep pelvis stretch. It's similar to frog pose when we stretch out both legs, but we're doing it in a much more gentle and supportive way. So we've done this pose before completely on the mat with just stretching our legs out. This actually goes a little deeper because you're elevating your leg. So you're getting a deeper stretch, and you're feeling sort of a comforting support from your props. Arms can be bent, arms can be stretched out sort of above you. Totally up to you how you want this pose to feel for you right now. And it's really nice to sort of feel the pillow against our chest and a little bit into maybe your midsection, and to feel our belly sort of pressing into the mat. And just take deep breaths. See if you can relax in the pose. Release any tension you might be holding anywhere in your body. And just focus on your breath. Feel your body melting into the props, into the mat, into the floor, into the earth. Let every muscle in your body just relax. Just let everything go. And let the quiet and the stillness just come over you. Know that the work we're doing, as gentle and subtle as it is doing so much work that you're not even aware of, and the benefits you'll reap the rest of today, the rest of the week. Last few breaths on this side, so breathe deeply in and out. One more time, breathe deeply in and out. And we're just going to release ourselves, legs both straight, and just lay down on that pillow or bolster that's sort of underneath you. Give yourself a moment here to really feel the effects of the work we just did. If it ever feels like too much on your shoulders, bring your shoulders sort of in and down and your arms down to give your shoulders a little bit of a break. And we're just going to move to the opposite side, which means we're also going to move our head and our neck to the opposite side. So bolster's going to go on the opposite side. We're going to lay back down, bend the opposite leg, place it on top of that pillow, bolster, or block, and release our bodies down to the bolster or pillow that's underneath us. And feel free to turn your cheek to that end or the opposite end if you were actually working that way. That's a nice way to get a nice neck stretch. But whichever way you had your head turned before, just turn the opposite way. And just release any tension you might be holding in your legs, in your arms, in your chest, and let everything just sort of sink into the floor. Feel your belly pushing into the mat below you as you breathe in and decompressing away from the mat as you breathe out. And just see if you can focus on that and only pay attention to that. Feel that sort of stillness, that quietness, that relaxation taking over. Feel your nervous system calming down, relaxing. Feel your mind being clear. Feel your body being enveloped by the support of the floor, of the ground, of your props. Take your last 2 deep breaths in and out here. One more deep breath in and out. Straighten out that leg. Come back to sort of lay down on the pillow or bolster that's underneath you till both your legs are straight below you. And take a moment here to just let all the work we just did really resonate in your body and connect into your muscles, your tissue, your fascia. Now we're going to use our hands to rise up, and we're just going to roll over to our backs. Now we did a lot of hip opening poses, so this time we're actually going to bring our knees in towards each other and do the opposite type of opening up. So we're really going to be opening up sort of the outside of our thighs and the outside of our legs. So I want you to take, you have lots of options here, either your bolster, your pillow, your blanket rolled up, or your blocks. We're going to place them sort of underneath our knees. And that's a really nice release for your low back. Now we're going to take, and it's up to you which leg you want to start with. I'm trying to think which way you're going to see me doing this as. Okay, so I'm going to start with my right knee and foot. So I'm going to take my left leg. I'm going to place the sole of my foot on top of either the pillow or bolster or blanket, whatever you're using for support. And then I'm going to fold or bend that knee in towards, so for me, it's my left knee and I'm bending it towards my right knee. And then I'm going to take that right leg and hook the ankle of my right foot and give it a little bit more of a push. So what we're doing here is using the bolster to give us a little bit more space and room. And we're using our legs to sort of Stretch out that left, for me, left buttock. Stretch out that left hip, stretch out the outside of the left thigh. And the right foot is really just for support, for leverage, for opening it up. You can always move the pillow or bolster a little bit till it's sort of under your knee and gives you that added support. Whatever feels good for you. You can even place your foot of the leg that we're stretching out. You can always place that on the ground and use the bolster pillow as support underneath the knee instead. Really nice way to get added or extra support. And we're just stretching out. That low back should be opening up, especially on the left side. For me, if you're using the right, then you're feeling that on the right. We're really opening up that left buttock, which is so important if you're someone that sits regularly, whether in a car, in front of the TV, in front of a computer. Really nice stretch for that left buttock. We're opening up the outside of the left thigh. Earlier in this sequence, we did the bottom of the thigh, we did the top of the thigh, the quad, and now we're doing sort of the outside edge of the thigh. We even did the inside of the thigh in our first few poses. And see if you could just relax, chest facing the ceiling. Just close your eyes and breathe while we're in this pose. So a lot of the other poses we were doing was opening things up. And now we're sort of doing the opposite and compressing things in. So relax all your muscles as best you can. Release any tension that you might be holding anywhere in your body. Let your jaw relax and your forehead relax. Your arms and your shoulders. And your legs. See if you could just feel like they're melting into the ground. Find your stillness, find your quiet, and just focus on your breath. Last few breaths in this pose. Last deep breath in and out. Great. Release that ankle from on top of your knee. You might feel a really intense sort of feeling going on in the leg that we were sort of pulling down. So see if you can put both soles of your feet on the mat. Let both your knees sort of just fold in towards each other. They don't have to touch. So spread your legs out as far as you can, to the back, to the edges of the mat. And then release your knees forward. That's a really nice release to our low back for all that work we just did. Great, and now we'll move to the opposite side. So bring that bolster back sort of underneath you. Now I'm doing the right leg this time. So my right foot's gonna go sort of on top of the bolster. It's gonna bend in towards the opposite leg. And then I'm gonna take my left ankle and foot and place it on top of my right knee and use that to sort of just I'm not even putting any pressure or pushing in any way. I'm just allowing that leg and knee to sort of fall to the side and opening it up. And just focus on your breath. Allow the quiet and stillness to take over. Relax all your muscles as much as you can. Just keep releasing your breath. Focus on your rib cage rising and falling. See what sensations you might be feeling on that opposite side now. Last 30 seconds in this pose. Last few breaths here, deeply in and out. And slowly release that foot from on top of your knee. Bring your knees sort of to a neutral position and then release your legs on top of your bolster, block, pillow, whatever you're using. And you can push it with your legs till it's sort of underneath your knees. And we're just going to lay into Shavasana. So we did a lot of work today on our lower half and a little bit on our upper half with opening up the chest when we did a little bit of a back bend. So just see what you're feeling in the lower half of your body. If you're feeling any tingling, any movement, maybe flow of blood is coming back to your lower extremities. And just relax into Shavasana. Relax your face. Relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw and your arms. Relax your fingers. Relax your chest. Relax your hips and your buttocks. Relax your thighs. Relax your calves. Relax your feet. Relax your toes. So today's class was all about putting us in a state of relaxation, taking us sort of away from our busy days. It was also about sort of healing, not just our mind, but healing our body, healing our hearts, allowing our body that moment of rest where it can heal, because it's really hard to do that when you're multitasking and going through, life and what happens every day. A lot of us seek balance in our lives, but instead of balance, I would suggest that we seek harmony. Balance implies that things are sort of 50-50, neither here nor there, but we all know that's rarely the case. It seems to me that trying to find harmony along with life's imbalances, which happen every day, goes more with the natural sort of ebb and flow of things and the ebb and flow of life. Harmony is peace, something we can attain through healing and the ownership of who we are in our essence. Lately in this world, we're seeing a war going on. Maybe even within us, we see that. But we can end all that with both compassion and understanding. Our mistakes feed our purpose rather than our shame. We suffer when we only focus on our hurt, but when we seek the lesson, we actually grow. We are all of us on a journey of healing our traumas. It can be easy to get stuck identifying with what we've experienced, the ego attached to the blame and shame, leading us away from our power and into our cycle of victimization. When we are hurting, we hurt, even those who didn't actually cut us. Our experiences shape us, and everything we refuse to feel and process, we store in our bodies and in our minds. It's an endless bank of unresolved pain to be pulled out whenever we feel triggered. The things that cause trauma may not be our fault, but our healing is entirely our responsibility. There's a beautiful quote by Maxine Carter that I'd like to quote to end the class today. Feeling the need to be busy all the time is a trauma response and fear-based distraction from what you'd be forced to acknowledge and feel if you just slowed down. When you come to this class every week or as often as you can, that's exactly what you're doing for yourself. You're taking this time to slow down. You're taking this time to have cleansing breaths and really focus on your breath. You're taking this time to get away from the distractions, and you're taking this time to heal. So thank you very much for coming to the class today and coming as often as all of you can. I know our lives are busy, and I'm grateful for every time that everyone does show up. Take these last few deep breaths in and out. And feel free to stay lying down if that feels most relaxing for you. Or if you'd like to come up to a seated position to end the class, I will leave that completely up to everyone in whatever they're looking for from the class today. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the class and that it relaxed you and opened up some areas of your body that really needed it, and that you get a wonderful night's rest. Namaste. Stop recording.